The stars had never seemed so quiet. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Independence, watching the massive space station grow larger on the main screen. Harmony Point looked like a giant wheel spinning slowly in the darkness of space. Ships from dozens of different worlds docked at its ports, but none of them looked like the Independence. Jake knew why. The aliens were afraid of humans. For 30 years, the galaxy had been listening to Earth's radio signals. They heard the music, the news, the movies, and the television shows. What they found scared them more than any weapon. Humans seemed to enjoy violence. Their entertainment was full of wars, fights, and death. Their history books told stories of endless battles. Even their children played games about fighting and winning. The alien races had never seen anything like it. Most species in the galaxy had evolved past the need for violence. They solved problems with words, not weapons. War was something from their ancient past, not their present. But humans seemed to live for conflict. When Earth finally built ships that could travel faster than light, every alien government held emergency meetings. What would these violent creatures do when they reached the stars? Would they try to conquer everything? Would they destroy peaceful worlds just for fun? The Confederation of Worlds decided to be very careful. They would meet the humans at Harmony Point, a neutral station far from any homeworld. If the talks went badly, they could destroy the station and keep the humans away from their planets. Jake understood their fear, but he also knew they were wrong about humans. Yes, humans could fight. Yes, they had wars in their past, but they also wanted peace. They wanted to explore, to learn, to make friends with other species. The problem was convincing the aliens of this. The Independence carried 50 crew members, all military personnel. Jake had chosen them carefully. They were professional soldiers who followed orders and stayed calm under pressure. If the aliens were going to judge humanity by these first representatives, Jake wanted them to see the best humans had to offer. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Carter walked up beside him. She was his second in command and one of the finest officers he had ever served with. "Sir, we're getting clearance to dock at Port 7. The aliens want to begin talks in 2 hours." Jake nodded. "How are the crew holding up?" "Nervous but ready, sir. They know how important this is." She was right. This first meeting would decide humanity's future in the galaxy. If it went well, humans would be allowed to explore the stars and build colonies on empty worlds. If it went badly, Earth might find itself at war with dozens of alien species. The docking process took 30 minutes. Jake could see alien ships moving away from the Independence as it approached. Even in space, they were keeping their distance. When the airlocks finally connected, Jake straightened his dress uniform and prepared to make history. The interior of Harmony Point was beautiful. The corridors were wide and tall, with walls that seemed to glow with soft light. Strange plants grew in gardens that floated in the air without soil. The gravity felt lighter than Earth normal, making each step feel like a small bounce. Jake's escort consisted of 6 Marines in dress uniforms. They walked in perfect formation, their boots making sharp sounds on the metal floor. Other beings in the corridors stopped to stare at them. Jake saw creatures that looked like walking crystals, others covered in fur or scales, and some that seemed to be made of pure energy. All of them backed away as the humans passed. The meeting room was enormous, with a table that could seat 100 representatives. Only 12 aliens were present, but Jake could see cameras and recording devices everywhere. The entire galaxy would be watching this conversation. The leader of the alien delegation was a tall, thin creature that looked like it was made of blue crystal. Its voice sounded like music when it spoke. "Welcome, Captain Morrison. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrian Republic. We speak for the Confederation of Worlds in these proceedings." Jake bowed slightly, a gesture of respect he had practiced many times. "Thank you, Ambassador. Earth is honored to meet with the Confederation. We come in peace, seeking friendship and understanding." The crystal being seemed to study him carefully. "Your reputation precedes you, Captain. The galaxy has heard much about human nature. We have seen your entertainment, your history, your cultural expressions. Tell us, do humans truly enjoy violence as much as your media suggests?" This was the question Jake had been expecting. He had spent months preparing his answer. Ambassador, humans are capable of violence when necessary to protect what we love. But we prefer peace. War is not a game to us. It is a tragedy that we try to avoid. The stories you have seen show our struggles to become better than we were. Another, alien, this one covered in green scales, leaned forward. Yet your military forces are extensive. Your weapons are sophisticated. Your tactical knowledge is advanced beyond most species in the galaxy. Jake chose his words carefully. We have learned that peace must sometimes be defended, but strength does not mean aggression. A strong person can choose to be gentle. A strong nation can choose to be peaceful. The talks continued for 6 hours. The aliens asked hundreds of questions about human culture, government, technology, and intentions. Jake answered them all honestly, trying to show that humans could be trusted. His crew members, when asked to speak, were polite and respectful. Slowly, Jake could see the aliens beginning to relax. Their questions became less hostile and more curious. They seemed genuinely interested in human art, music, and literature. When Jake showed them recordings of human children playing and laughing, several aliens seemed moved. By the end of the day, Ambassador Veltar was almost smiling. Captain Morrison, these talks have been more productive than we expected. The Confederation will consider allowing human expansion into 3 uninhabited systems. We believe this arrangement will benefit both our species. Jake felt a wave of relief wash over him. Thank you, Ambassador. Humanity will not disappoint you. As the humans prepared to leave, Jake noticed the aliens talking quietly among themselves. They seemed pleased with the results. Some were even laughing, a sound that surprised him coming from such strange creatures. Walking back to the Independence, Lieutenant Commander Carter spoke quietly. Sir, I think we did it. They're not afraid of us anymore. Jake nodded, but something bothered him. The talks had gone almost too well. The aliens had given up their fear very quickly. Either they were better judges of character than he expected, or they thought they could control humanity if needed. Time would tell which was true. As the Independence pulled away from Harmony Point, Jake looked back at the station. Dozens of alien ships were docked there, representing species from across the galaxy. Soon, human ships would join them. The dream of reaching the stars was finally coming true. But in the back of his mind, Jake wondered what would happen when the aliens learned that the crew of the Independence represented only a small part of humanity's capabilities. The soldiers they had met were professional and disciplined, yes, but they were just regular military personnel. The aliens had no idea what Earth's special forces could do. The colony ship Mayflower II was 3 days away from its new home when the attack came. Captain Susan Blake was in her quarters reviewing the settlement plans when the alarm started screaming. She ran to the bridge, her heart pounding with fear. Report, she shouted over the noise. Unknown ships decloaking off our starboard bow, her navigation officer called out. They're not responding to our hails. Susan looked at the main screen and felt her blood turn cold. 12 massive ships surrounded the Mayflower II like wolves around a wounded deer. They were dark and angular, covered in spikes and weapon ports. She had never seen designs like them before. This is Captain Susan Blake of the Earth colony ship Mayflower II, she broadcast on all frequencies. We are a civilian vessel carrying families to a new home. Please identify yourselves. The response came in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. Resistance will result in your destruction. Susan's communications officer turned to her with wide eyes. Captain, I'm reading their ship signatures. These are Kethvar Empire vessels. The Kethvar were one of the more aggressive species in the galaxy. They looked like giant insects and believed that strength was the only thing that mattered. But they had never attacked human ships before. The peace treaty signed at Harmony Point was supposed to protect civilian vessels. Kethvar ships, we are under the protection of the Confederation Peace Accords, Susan said. Any attack on our vessel would be considered an act of war. The insect voice laughed, a sound like breaking glass. The Confederation is weak. Humans are weak. We will test your true strength today. The first energy beam hit the Mayflower 2's shields and sent shockwaves through the ship. Emergency lights flickered as the main power system struggled to compensate. Susan knew her ship had no real weapons. It was designed to carry people and supplies, not fight battles. All hands, this is the captain, she announced over the ship's intercom. Prepare for emergency evacuation procedures. Move to the escape pods immediately. But there would not be enough time. The HFY ships opened fire with everything they had. The Mayflower 2's shields collapsed after the third volley. The hull began to crack and split apart. 50,000 people were about to die, and there was nothing Susan could do to save them. The ship broke apart in a flash of light and fire. The HFY waited to make sure there were no survivors, then jumped away to their own space. They left behind only wreckage and silence. News of the attack reached Earth 18 hours later. Admiral Lisa Carter was in a meeting with the Joint Chiefs when her aide burst into the room. The young officer's face was white with shock. Admiral, we've received an emergency transmission from the Kepler system. The Mayflower 2 has been destroyed. The room fell silent. Lisa felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. 50,000 civilians, including families with children, had been murdered for no reason. The HFY had broken every law of civilized warfare. How many survivors? She asked, though she already knew the answer. None, ma'am. The ship was completely destroyed. General Robert Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, slammed his fist on the table. Those insect bastards just declared war on humanity. How do we respond? Lisa stood up slowly. Her face was calm, but her eyes were filled with cold fury. We respond appropriately, General. Alert SOCOM. Tell them to prepare Operation Silent Thunder. The other officers in the room exchanged glances. Operation Silent Thunder was not part of the regular military structure. It was run by Special Operations Command, and most people did not even know it existed. Even Lisa did not know all the details of what SOCOM could do. Admiral, General Kane said carefully, are you sure we want to escalate this quickly? Maybe we should try diplomatic channels first. Lisa looked at him with eyes like winter ice. General, 50,000 innocent people are dead. Diplomacy is no longer an option. 3 days later, strange things began happening in HFY space. The first incident occurred at their primary military base on the planet Hivetar. The base commander, General Clickvor, woke up to find that all of his guards were unconscious. They were not hurt, just sleeping. But they could not be awakened. The security recordings showed nothing. One moment the guards were at their posts. The next they were on the ground. There was no sign of what had happened to them. The next incident was worse. An entire HFY fleet disappeared overnight. 20 ships with full crews simply vanished from their patrol route. No distress signals were sent, no wreckage was found. They were just gone. General Clickvor sent out search parties, but they found nothing. It was as if the ships had never existed. The crew's families demanded answers, but there were no answers to give. Then the psychological warfare began. HFY, soldiers started reporting strange noises in empty corridors, voices speaking in languages they did not understand, shadows that moved when no one was there, equipment that stopped working for no reason. The HFY were a warrior race, bred for battle and trained from birth to fight. But this was not fighting. This was something else entirely. They could not see their enemy. They could not predict when the next attack would come. They could not defend against something they did not understand. More ships disappeared. Military bases lost power and communications without warning. High-ranking officers found classified documents on their personal computers, documents that should have been impossible to access. The files contained detailed information about HFY military plans, family members, and personal secrets. The message was clear. Nowhere was safe. No one could be trusted. The enemy could reach anyone, anywhere, at any time. General Clickvor tried to maintain order, but his troops were terrified. Veteran soldiers who had fought in dozens of battles were afraid to sleep alone. They saw threats in every shadow and heard enemies in every sound. On the 7th day after the Mayflower 2's destruction, Clickvor received a transmission in his private quarters. The screen showed a human face, but the background was completely black. The man wore no uniform and gave no name. General Clickfor, the human said in perfect Kethvar language. Your ships will return to your home system immediately. Your attacks on human civilians will stop. You will broadcast a formal surrender to Admiral Lisa Carter of Earth Command. Clickavor's mandibles clicked with rage. Human coward, show yourself. And fight like a warrior. The human's expression did not change. General, you have been fighting. You just did not know it. Check your tactical displays. Clickford turned to his command console and felt his blood freeze. Every military installation in the Kethvar Empire showed the same status. Compromised. His fleets were scattered and confused. His supply lines were cut. His communication networks were down. Somehow, without a single direct battle, the humans had crippled his entire empire. How? He whispered. The human on the screen almost smiled. General, you attacked our civilians. You thought humans were weak, because you only met our diplomats and regular soldiers. You made a mistake. The transmission ended, leaving Clickavor alone in his command center. He looked around at his empty base, his silent communications equipment, his useless weapons. The greatest military force in this sector of the galaxy had been defeated by enemies they never saw. With shaking hands, he opened a channel to Earth. Admiral Carter answered immediately, as if she had been waiting for his call. Admiral Carter, he said, his voice barely a whisper. The Kethvar Empire formally surrenders. Please, call off your ghosts. The emergency session of the Confederation Council was unlike anything in galactic history. Representatives from 47 different species filled the great chamber on Harmony Point, their voices creating a cacophony of fear and confusion. Ambassador Veltar called for order, but it took several minutes for the chaos to die down. Fellow delegates, Veltar announced, his crystalline voice cutting through the noise. We are here to discuss the recent events in Kethvar space. What we have learned changes everything we thought we knew about humanity. The reptilian delegate from the Saurok Imperium, General Hessick, stood up. His scales were darker than usual, a sign of deep distress among his people. Ambassador, my intelligence officers have compiled a report on the human response to the Kethvar attack. What they found defies explanation. He activated a holographic display that showed the Kethvar Empire's territory. Red dots marked the locations of destroyed or disabled military installations. The pattern was everywhere and nowhere at once. 23 Kethvar fleets were neutralized without a single recorded battle. Hessick continued. Military bases went offline with no signs of attack. Classified information appeared in places it should never have reached. Kethvar soldiers reported seeing things that were not there. A delegate from the Ethereal Collective, a species of energy beings called Luxara, flickered with nervous light. General, are you suggesting the humans have developed some form of technology we cannot detect? No, Hessick replied, his voice grim. I am suggesting they have warriors we cannot detect. The chamber fell silent. The idea that any species could have soldiers capable of such feats seemed impossible. But the evidence was undeniable. Ambassador Veltar brought up additional data on the main display. Our analysis teams have studied every available record from the incident. We found something disturbing. The humans who destroyed the Kethvar Empire are not the same humans we met during the peace negotiations. Dr. Helen Brooks watched the proceedings from the human observation deck above the main floor. She was Earth's chief xenobiologist and had been studying alien cultures since first contact. The fear in the chamber below was almost tangible, and she understood why. The galaxy had spent so much time worrying about human violence that they had never considered human subtlety. They expected tanks and battleships, bombs and bullets. They never imagined shadows and whispers, or warriors who could walk through walls like ghosts. The tactical analysis is clear, General Hessick continued. These human special operations forces can infiltrate any facility, disable any defense system, and extract any information they desire. More troubling, they seem to enjoy psychological warfare. An insectoid delegate from the hive clusters, Speaker Zichtal, clicked his mandibles nervously. If the humans have such capabilities, why did they not use them during the peace negotiations? Why did they show us only their regular military forces? The question hung in the air like a sword. Dr. Brooks knew the answer, but she was not allowed to speak during these sessions. The truth was that Earth's special forces had been active during the peace talks. They had been gathering intelligence, studying alien weaknesses and preparing for exactly this kind of situation. Ambassador Veltar accessed another file. We believe the answer lies in human military doctrine. Our xenopsychologists have studied their historical conflicts. Humans appear to have two distinct types of warfare, conventional and unconventional. The hologram showed images from Earth's military history. Soldiers in uniform marching in formation, then shadowy figures moving through darkness. Massive armies clashing on battlefields, then small teams striking at night with surgical precision. They send their conventional forces when they want to be seen, Veltar explained. They send their special operations forces when they want to remain hidden. The Kethavar attack forced them to reveal capabilities they had kept secret. General Hesseck's scales grew even darker. This means during our peace negotiations, human special forces were likely already operating throughout our space. They could have been studying our defenses, our technologies, our cultures. We never would have known. The implications of this statement sent ripples of panic through the chamber. If human special forces could operate undetected, then no secret was safe. No facility was secure. No plan could be made without the possibility that humans already knew about it. Speaker Zichtal spoke in a voice that trembled with fear. In our most ancient legends, we speak of the shadow devourers, creatures that could walk through solid matter and steal the thoughts from our minds. The descriptions match what the Kethavar reported about these human ghost warriors. An elderly delegate from the Aquatic Federation, Counselor Merfin, raised a webbed hand. I hate to add to our fears, but my people have similar legends. We called them the Silent Tide. Warriors who moved like water and struck like lightning. Our historians always assumed they were myths. Dr. Brooks felt a chill run down her spine. She had studied these alien legends as part of her research, but she had never connected them to human capabilities. The similarities were too striking to be coincidence. General Hesseck brought up a new display showing star maps from different time periods. Delegates, I have been researching these legends you mention. The appearances of these mythical warriors throughout galactic history follow a disturbing pattern. They appear, terrorize a region for a period, then vanish completely. The star maps showed the locations and time frames of each legendary appearance. The data points formed a rough line through space, ending at a familiar yellow star. The pattern leads to Earth, Hesseck said quietly. It is possible that humans have encountered these legendary warriors before. Perhaps they learned from them. Perhaps they became them. The chamber erupted in frightened voices again. The idea that Earth's special forces might have been trained by something even more dangerous than humans was terrifying beyond words. Ambassador Veltar called for order once more. Delegates, we must consider our options carefully. The humans have shown they are capable of devastating retaliation when attacked. They have also shown they prefer diplomacy when possible. The question is, what do we do with this knowledge? Counselor, Merfin spoke first. We could demand that humans reveal the full extent of their special operations capabilities as a condition of continued peace. And if they refuse? General Hesseck asked. Do we go to war with an enemy that can strike us from the shadows? Speaker Zichtal clicked nervously. We could try to develop countermeasures, better detection systems, improved security protocols. Based on what? Veltar replied. We do not even understand how they operate. How do you defend against an enemy you cannot see or predict? Dr. Brooks wished she could tell them that their fears were both justified and overblown. Yes, Earth special forces were incredibly capable. Yes, they had been operating in alien space for months, but they were not the mythical creatures from alien legends, or were they? She thought about the training programs she had heard rumors about. Programs that pushed human soldiers beyond normal limits. Programs that taught them to think like predators, move like shadows, and strike like ghosts. Programs that were classified, so highly that even she, with her government clearance, could not access the details. The debate in the chamber below continued for hours. Some delegates wanted to break off relations with humanity immediately. Others argued for increased cooperation to better understand the threat. A few suggested offering tribute to keep Earth's special forces from targeting their worlds. But Dr. Brooks knew the real decision would not be made in this chamber. It would be made by the beings who trained in the darkness between stars, who moved through alien space like whispers in the night, and who were probably watching this very meeting from places no one would think to look. Earth's special forces were no longer a secret. The question now was, what would they do with their cover blown? The galaxy was about to find out. Colonel Ryan Hayes crouched in the ventilation shaft above the Confederation's primary military command station, listening to the emergency meeting taking place below. He had been in this position for 3 hours, recording every word spoken by the galaxy's top military leaders. None of them knew he was there. The meeting was about humans, specifically about the Special Operations Forces that had crushed the Kethvar Empire. The alien commanders were trying to develop countermeasures against an enemy they did not understand. Ryan almost felt sorry for them. Through his earpiece, he heard Major Kate Sullivan's voice from her position in the station's computer core. "Ryan, I've got access to their central databases. The intelligence here is incredible. They have detailed files on every species in the galaxy, including some we have never heard of." Ryan whispered back, his voice barely audible even to his advanced communication equipment. "Copy that, Kate. Download everything you can. Command wants a complete picture of galactic military capabilities." Operation Silent Shepherd had been running for 8 months, ever since the peace negotiations at Harmony Point. While diplomats spoke of friendship and cooperation, Earth's special operations teams had been conducting the most extensive intelligence gathering mission in human history. Ryan's team alone had infiltrated 17 different alien homeworlds. They had studied military installations, cultural centers, government facilities, and research laboratories. They moved like ghosts through alien cities, learned alien languages, and documented every weakness they could find. The mission was supposed to be purely observational. Learn about potential threats to humanity and report back to Earth Command. But what they had discovered changed everything. Kate's voice came through his earpiece again, tense with excitement. "Ryan, you need to see this. I found classified files about something called the Void Hunters. The descriptions are familiar." Ryan carefully made his way through the ventilation system to Kate's location. She was hidden in a maintenance corridor behind the station's main computer banks. Her portable equipment interfaced directly with the alien systems. Her screens showed ancient documents written in dozens of different alien languages. "Look at this," she whispered, pointing to a translation on her screen. "This is from the Sarok archives, dated approximately 3,000 years ago. The shadow killers came in the night, moving through walls as if they were air. They spoke in whispers that drove strong warriors mad with fear. When they struck, entire armies would vanish without a trace." Ryan read the document carefully. The descriptions were unnervingly familiar. The tactics matched human special operations doctrine almost perfectly. "Show me more." Kate brought up additional files from different species. Each civilization had records of encounters with mysterious warriors that appeared throughout galactic history. The Ethereal Collective called them Darkness Touched. The Aquatic Federation knew them as Silent Tide. The Hive clusters remembered them as Shadow Devourers. "Ryan," Kate said quietly, "the tactical descriptions in these files match our training protocols exactly. The psychological warfare techniques, the infiltration methods, the way they disappeared after completing their missions. It's like someone used these ancient accounts to design our special operations programs." Ryan felt a cold chill run down his spine. He thought about his own training, the brutal selection process that had turned him from a regular soldier into something much more dangerous. The instructors had pushed him beyond normal human limits, teaching him to think like a predator and move like smoke. But some of his instructors had not been human. Kate, access the deeper archives. Look for any mention of Earth or Sol system in connection with these Void Hunter encounters. Her fingers flew over her equipment as she dug deeper into the classified databases. After several minutes, she found what they were looking for. Got it. There's a pattern here, Ryan. The Void Hunter appearances form a rough progression through space over thousands of years. The last recorded encounter was approximately 1,000 years ago, in a system matching the description of Earth's solar system. The implications hit Ryan like a physical blow. The mysterious warriors that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia had not disappeared. They had found Earth. Somehow they had made contact with humanity and taught them their methods. We need to report this to command immediately, Kate said. Ryan shook his head. Not yet. We need more information. If what we suspect is true, then our entire special operations program is based on alien technology and training. Command needs to know the full scope of what we are dealing with. They spent the next 6 hours downloading every available file about the Void Hunters. The picture that emerged was both fascinating and terrifying. These creatures were not just warriors. They were something far more dangerous. They seemed to exist partially outside normal space-time, allowing them to move through solid matter and appear in multiple locations simultaneously. More disturbing were the psychological profiles. The Void Hunters did not just kill their enemies, they drove them insane with fear. They turned civilizations against themselves by spreading paranoia and terror. They were weapons of mass psychological destruction, and they had been training humans for centuries. Kate discovered records indicating that the Void Hunters had been slowly guiding human development, teaching selected individuals advanced combat techniques through dreams and visions. The recipients of this training became the foundation of Earth's special operations community. This explains everything, Ryan said as he reviewed the data. Our selection process, our training methods, our capabilities that go beyond normal, human limits. We are not just human special forces. We are human Void Hunter hybrids. The realization changed everything about their mission. They were not just gathering intelligence about alien civilizations. They were continuing a campaign that had been going on for thousands of years. Major Kate Sullivan finished her downloads and began preparing to leave. Ryan, what do we do with this information? Do we tell the team? Ryan considered the question carefully. The other members of their unit had a right to know the truth about their nature and abilities, but the knowledge might also be dangerous. Some might not be able to handle learning they were part alien. We tell them, he decided, but carefully, and we continue the mission. The galaxy needs to understand that humanity is not going anywhere. We have been part of this space for longer than they know. As they prepared to extract from the command station, Ryan thought about the fear he had seen in the alien leaders during their meeting. They were terrified of human special forces, but they had no idea how deep the connection really went. Earth's warriors were not just trained by the legendary Void Hunters. In many ways, they had become the Void Hunters. The ancient terror of the galaxy had found new hosts and a new purpose. The question now was whether to reveal this truth to the Confederation or let them continue living in ignorance. Either choice would have consequences that would reshape the galaxy. Ryan Hayes smiled in the darkness. After months of observing and studying, it was time for the Watchers to become the Watched. The galaxy wanted to know about Earth's special forces. They were about to get their wish. The integration ceremony was supposed to be the greatest celebration in galactic history. Thousands of delegates from across the Confederation had gathered at Harmony Point to welcome humanity officially into the galactic community. The Great Hall was decorated with flags and symbols from 47 different worlds, and the air hummed with excitement and nervous energy. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the podium, wearing his dress uniform and preparing to deliver humanity's acceptance speech. Dr. Helen Brooks sat in the human delegation section, watching the alien representatives with scientific interest. After months of tension following the Kethvar incident, this ceremony was meant to mark a new beginning. Ambassador Veltar called the assembly to order. Distinguished delegates, we gather today to welcome Earth into the Confederation of Worlds. Despite recent misunderstandings, we believe that humanity can find its place among the peaceful species of our galaxy. Jake stepped forward to respond, but before he could speak, something impossible happened. A figure materialized in the center of the Great Hall, appearing from empty air as if he had always been there. Colonel Ryan Hayes stood calmly in his black combat uniform, surrounded by thousands of alien delegates who had not seen him arrive. Security forces reached for their weapons, but Ryan made no threatening moves. He simply waited for the shocked silence to settle. "Distinguished delegates," Ryan said, his voice carrying clearly through the enormous chamber. "I believe there has been a misunderstanding about humanity's true capabilities." Ambassador Veltar's crystalline form flickered with confusion and fear. "How did you get in here? Our security systems show no breach." The hall was completely secured. Ryan smiled, without humor. "Ambassador, your security systems have been compromised for the past 3 months. We have been monitoring the station and every other major facility in Confederation space since the peace negotiations began." The implications of his statement sent waves of panic through the assembled delegates. General Hessick of the Saurok rose from his seat, his scales dark with alarm. "Impossible. Our detection equipment is the most advanced in the galaxy." "Your detection equipment is designed to find ships and energy signatures," Ryan replied. "It was never designed to find us." He activated a holographic projector that filled the air above the assembly with images and data. The delegates saw surveillance, footage of themselves in private meetings, classified documents from their most secure databases, and detailed intelligence reports about their military capabilities. "For 8 months, Earth's Special Operations Forces have been conducting reconnaissance throughout your space," Ryan continued. "We have studied your worlds, your cultures, your technologies, and your weaknesses. We know everything about you, and until today, you knew nothing about us." Dr. Brooks watched the presentation with growing amazement and horror. The scope of the intelligence operation was staggering. Human special forces had infiltrated every major government and military installation in the galaxy. They had been watching and learning while the aliens debated how to handle the human threat. Speaker Ziktal of the Hive Clusters clicked his mandibles in distress. "This is an act of war. You have violated our sovereignty." Ryan's expression remained calm. "Speaker, we have violated nothing. We observed. We learned. We prepared. When the Kethvar attacked innocent civilians, you saw what we could do when forced to act." Ambassador Veltar tried to regain control of the situation. "Colonel, your demonstration has made your point. Please let us discuss this through proper diplomatic channels." "I am afraid that is no longer possible, Ambassador," Ryan said. "The galaxy needs to understand the full truth about Earth's special forces." He gestured toward the shadows at the edge of the Great Hall. "What you saw in Kethvar space was not just human capability. It was the result of a partnership that has existed for over 1,000 years. Something moved in the darkness where Ryan pointed. The shadows seemed to shift and flow like liquid night. Then a figure stepped forward that made every delegate in the hall freeze with primal terror. The Void Hunter was tall and thin, wrapped in darkness that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Its face was hidden behind a mask that looked like it was carved from the emptiness between stars. When it spoke, its voice was like whispers in a tomb. "The galaxy remembers us," the creature said. "We are the shadow that haunted your ancestors' dreams. We are the terror that drove your civilizations to huddle together for protection. We are the Void Hunters, and we have returned." The Great Hall erupted in chaos. Delegates screamed and ran for the exits. Security forces fired their weapons at the creature, but the energy beams passed harmlessly through its form. Within minutes, only the human delegation and a few brave aliens remained. Ambassador Veltar stood on shaking legs, his crystalline form dim with fear. "You are extinct. The legends say you vanished 3,000 years ago." The Void Hunter moved closer, its form seeming to glide rather than walk. "We did not vanish. We found something better than conquest. We found students worthy of our teachings." Ryan stepped forward, standing beside the ancient creature. The Void Hunters discovered Earth during humanity's medieval period. They have been guiding our development ever since, teaching select individuals the arts of war and stealth. What you call our special forces are the result of that training. Dr. Brooks finally understood the truth that had been hidden from her for so long. The advanced techniques used by Earth's elite soldiers, their ability to operate beyond normal human limits, their psychological warfare methods, all of it came from alien training that had been passed down through generations. We chose humans because they reminded us of ourselves, the Void Hunter continued, predators who could adapt and evolve. Warriors who understood that true strength comes from striking from the shadows. Your species had potential we had not seen in millennia. General Hessick found his voice despite his terror. What do you want from us? Ryan answered for his mentor. Nothing, General. We want you to understand your position. The galaxy feared humans enough to monitor our communications for 30 years. Then you met our diplomats and soldiers and thought you could manage us. But you never met the true defenders of Earth. The Void Hunter moved among the remaining delegates like a living shadow. Your species have grown soft during your ages of peace. You have forgotten what it means to face a real predator. We have been teaching humans to remember. Ambassador. Veltar's voice was barely a whisper. Are you going to conquer us? No, Ryan said firmly. We are going to protect you. The statement surprised everyone in the hall, including Dr. Brooks. She had expected threats of domination, not offers of protection. Ryan activated another hologram showing star charts of the galaxy's outer regions. Our intelligence gathering revealed something you do not know. There are threats coming from beyond your borders, species that make the Kethvar look peaceful. They have been watching your expansion and preparing to strike. The Void Hunter nodded, its masked head. We trained humans not to conquer the galaxy but to defend it. Your peaceful civilizations would not survive what is coming without protection. The choice is yours, Ryan continued. You can accept humanity as an equal partner in the Confederation with full knowledge of our capabilities. Or you can try to oppose us and face these future threats alone. The Great Hall fell silent except for the sound of alien breathing and the hum of electronic equipment. The delegates who remained were processing the most important decision in galactic history. Ambassador Veltar spoke first, his voice steadier than before. Colonel Hayes, if we accept this partnership, what guarantees do we have that humans will not abuse their power? The Void Hunter answered. The same guarantee that has kept us from conquering the galaxy for 3 millennia. True strength does not need to dominate. It needs only to protect what is worth preserving. Ryan looked around at the assembled delegates. The vote is yours to make, but understand that regardless of your decision, Earth's special forces will continue to operate in the shadows. The only question is whether we do so as your allies or as strangers. General Hessick was the first to stand. The Sarok Imperium votes to accept the new partnership. One by one, the other delegates rose and cast their votes. Fear had given way to pragmatic acceptance. The galaxy needed protectors, and humanity had proven they could provide that protection. When the final vote was counted, the result was unanimous. Ambassador Veltar's crystalline form glowed brighter as he made the formal announcement. By unanimous consent of the Confederation Council, humanity is welcomed as full partners in galactic civilization. Ryan Hayes smiled and bowed respectfully to the assembly. Thank you, Ambassador. You will not regret this decision. The Void Hunter began to fade back into the shadows. Before it disappeared completely, it spoke one final time. The galaxy has new guardians now. Sleep well, knowing that the darkness protects you. As the ceremony concluded and delegates began filing out of the hall, Dr. Brooks approached Ryan. Colonel, was any of this planned from the beginning? Ryan considered her question carefully. Dr. Brooks, the only thing that was planned was humanity's survival. Everything else was improvisation. She nodded, understanding more than she wanted to. The galaxy had feared humans enough to spend decades analyzing their